Hi, it's Garry. Welcome to today's video. So I've just seen some of the comments come up. We'll jump to them in a second. Welcome. Today we're going live again. I know we do this every Sunday. I really enjoy it. I'm just listening. I'm just moving the mic. It seemed a bit on the far side. Can I hear myself? Yeah, I can. So I know everything seems to be working. I've just upgraded OBS, which is the streaming software that I used this morning. I always worry that something doesn't work when I do that. So welcome to today's video. Temperature wise, I know that I'm English. Let's start off by looking at the temperature. We just pull up the right window. There it goes. Oh, idiot, Garry pressed the wrong button. There we go, that's better. So today, currently 10 degrees Celsius here in Western Australia. That works out to 50 Fahrenheit. So, yeah, middling day, not cold, not warm. So let's go back to the camera. And close that down again. And we'll go into the comments. So we've got Blonde Scales 1, good evening from Arkansas. Welcome to you. Tom Morley, good evening from Atlanta. So we're a couple of people there already coming in from the US. Chris Robinson, good morning from Toowoomba. Welcome to you, Chris. Ted, hello from Seattle. So we've got Australia, Canada, and the US now represented. Welcome to you. Ron, wow, found you live and the clarinet playing. Greetings from Forest Hills, the area in New York City where the US Open tennis matches are played. Awesome. My wife's been diligently watching Wimbledon this week. She loves her Wimbledon. Me, I can't stand it. It's just like ping pong. It goes ping pong, ping pong. I don't see really what the fun is it, but that's just me. Just to adjust this camera slightly. There we go. Just try to keep more of me in the frame rather than my ceiling. Yeah, I've not really been into tennis. When we actually did live for 7 years in the council area that Wimbledon is actually in. No, we never actually went. We should have done, because Wimbledon itself, we've been around the outside of it. We used to go to Wimbledon Common quite a lot, and it's not too far from there. Our son was little, so we used to go womble hunting on Wimbledon Common. Those of you who maybe know UK TV may understand what the wombles are. But yeah, we used to do that when he was younger. It was a nice place to go, though, was Wimbledon Common, apart from the fact you had to dodge the golf balls because there's a golf course right in the middle of it. Ricardo, good morning from London. Welcome to you, Ricardo. Will Hodge, howdy all from Windblown, Texas. Welcome to you. I'm waiting for the heavens to open here at the moment. According to my weather app, we should be having heavy rain. We're not seeing any of that heavy rain, so you'll know, because chances are the mic will pick it up if it does open, because if it's heavy, it makes a lot of noise in this house. Not sure why, but just weird. So today's topic. Oh, let me just refresh the comments just in case there's some more come in. And yes, there is. So Ricardo, 14 Celsius in London. Yeah, one of the things, my wife used to go back each year about this time of year to visit families, so she would go to London, Norfolk, and Yorkshire. And one of the things that we used to always tickle me is the temperature here was usually warmer than the temperature in London, and here it was winter and there it was summer. So yeah, really interesting that. Blonde Scales 1, we mostly get light rain from the hurricane, small amount of wind. That's something I'm glad we don't get here. Here we have cyclones, exactly the same thing, except it spins in the opposite direction to a hurricane. So yeah, we don't really get that, which is good. I know further up the Western Australian coast they do, and we do get the tail ends of them. I think we're getting towards cyclone season now, and I don't know, not very good with that. Chris Robinson, 8 Celsius in Toowoomba. Wow, that's a bit nippy, and that's at 10:30 in the morning. So where I am, I'm on the west coast of Australia. Toowoomba, that's over on the east coast of Australia. That's why there's the time difference, 2 hours time difference at the moment. And when the clocks change, here in Western Australia, our clock stays the same. In over on the East Coast, most of the areas, they go up by an hour. I'm not sure about Toowoomba, because I think from memory that's in Queensland, and I don't think Queensland changes its time. But I might be wrong there, and Chris might correct me. Tom Morley, 31 Celsius in Atlanta. Oh, I wish it was that here, I tell you. That to me is just the perfect temperature, is 31. Not too hot, not too cold. Will Hodge, day 6 of no electricity, being on generator power. Wow, that must be absolutely doing your head in. I want to remember, I'm going to say about 10 years ago, a power pole that supplies this area came down, and we were about 4 days without electricity, and it was absolutely doing my head in. I used to take all our devices that had a battery in. I worked in Perth itself, which was a good drive, so there was electricity in the office, so I used to take everything with me each morning that had a battery in it to charge up in the office, just so that we would have something to use. So all my iPads, the phones, my wife's phone, anything with power went into the office. And I had a couple of power banks as well, which I charged up in the office each day. So yeah, that would be doing my absolute head. I mean, fortunately, you've got a generator. Let's do another refresh. Ron, there's a Wimbledon fountain pen. No, I don't want to go down that thing. That'll only encourage her. At the moment, she doesn't really like... Come on, Garry, use your brain. Oh, my script's just off the screen. Let me just redo the screen. If I want to encourage her to do more with Wimbledon. Say we lived so close as well, which was such a shame. She never actually got to see it live. But saying that, I think you get to see it better on TV because you can switch between matches. Blonde Scales 1, you got it worse than I did here. So that must be talking about the way the weather's going over in the US. Silent Ink Chronicles, good morning from Queensland. Welcome to you. Chris, Queensland doesn't do daylight savings. It fades the curtains, apparently. Yeah, I know. Just before we moved over here, they did do, I'm not sure if it was 1 or 2 years where they did do daylight savings. Then they had a referendum on whether people wanted it or not, and people voted that they didn't want it. So that's why we are as we are. Atomic Elf 1, howdy, welcome to you. Do another refresh. Blonde Scales 1, I'm guessing Will got hit by the hurricane. There are places in Texas still without power. Yeah, and especially now we're coming, because Texas is a bit towards the equator, so I'm assuming that's a lot warmer there. So that must be quite bad, especially if you can't have aircon running. Because you need it. I got to be honest, you need it in the heat. Today's mug, we've got Spider-Man. There we go, in the camera. And got my usual mint tea. So do another refresh, and then I'm going to jump after this one into today's talking point. Yeah, there was no new comments come up. So let me just take this off screen. So today's talking point, again, this is something that people have asked for. I'm sliding down my chair. There we go. Let me just try and reposition myself on the chair. That's a little bit better, isn't it? So today's talking point, people have asked for me to do a quick comparison between the Vango Model 5 and the Pilot E95S. Size-wise, right, there they are lined up at the top. Massive difference. The Vango is my beast of a pen. It's the biggest pen I've got. Pilot E95S, not the smallest pen, but still quite small. I'll switch over to my overhead view. Just going to pop these down side by side. I'm just going to do this quickly, so I'm not really going to do anything major. Just fetching this, just so we've got something to stand them on. There we go. So normally a lot of this messing around you don't see because I cut it out. So the Vango, I'll say it's a big pen. This one's an acrylic model. You can get an ebonite model. And this one, loads and loads of threads. I've got a cartridge converter in there. So loads of threads. You could potentially eyedropper it. I don't ever intend to do that. I think if I filled this body with ink, I don't think I'd ever run out of ink. It'd be going for about a year. The nib on here is a number 6 Vango nib. It's a broad nib. if I was to buy another, and I'm considering it, I would see if I could get a number 8 nib. I think a number 8 nib would look really nice on this. The E95S, on the larger side, but it's a pocket pen. So I think it looks very elegant. I wish this was a green colour. I think that would, to me, be perfect, but that's fine as it is. Unposted, I'll show you unposted. Very, very small, but posted, yeah, just about right. Very, very nice pen to write with. Quick idea for size comparison. Let me fetch in the two standards. So, Pilot Metropolitan, Lamy Safari. There we go. Just so you can get an idea for sizes. Let's move this out of the way. Get these two out of the way. Get that out of the way. We'll fetch in the rule of measuring. So here's the rule of measuring. Now, I don't have my actual stats in front of me, so I'm going to do this by eye. So there we go. Unposted, sorry, with a cap on, 17.5 centimetres. Unposted, about 15.2 centimetres. It will post, sort of. It does feel solid, but it makes it nearly 21 centimetres. It's like Harry Potter's wand. It's so long. But there we are, unposted. It's still a big pen. With the E95S, so with the cap on, just popping that to one side. With the cap on, that's about 11.8 centimetres. Unposted is usable unposted for a couple of words, about 10.4 centimetres. And then if we post it, that comes in about 14.9, so 15 centimetres. Some quite nice pens. Fetch in the scales of weighing. So okay, let's turn these on. So with the scales of weighing, the Ranga, the full pen. Now remember, there's a bit of ink in both of these. 47 grams. Body alone, 29 grams. And 17 grams for the cap. It feels light, but as you can see, there's a bit of weight to it. E95S, 15 grams. So the full pen weighs less than that Ranga. The body, 10 grams. And the cap, 5 grams. So quite a lot lighter. Let's move that out of the way. Just chucking them behind me. And we'll do a writing sample. So I thought for my writing test today, this is the notepad that Chris Robinson, who's in the chat, sent me. Absolutely gorgeous notepad. Hardly been using it, so I thought this is a good chance to actually get in and start using it. Why I've not used it too much is I'm currently using my black and red notepad. But once that's finished, I'm going to switch to this one for my pen writing tests, or at least that's my current intention, but you never know. I mean, things change. So we're going to do some writing. Let me just reposition this mic a teeny bit. I know you got a whoop there as I moved it. So we've got here a Ranga Model 5. This has got a broad nib and it's $142 when I bought it. The ink is by Dominant Industry. I'm just going to move this up and see that I'm slightly low on the camera. So it's Dominant Industry and it's light. Really nice colour. Very similar to Diamine Marine. Drying times, I'm not going to do my full drying tests. So this is immediate. Very, very wet looking, isn't it? I'm going to jump straight to 1 minute. So I've just set my timer going. I have a timer app on my iPad, which is what I'm running on. So this bit you don't normally see because this bit I edit out. But we're doing this live, so I'm afraid you get to see it. So get to hear me talking for a minute and trying to fill out time. Let me see if there's some comments I can quickly talk to. Atomic Elf 1, not too bad on the... no, we can't. We won't do that because it's not showing on the screen. That's a shame. We'll come back to that. There are some things. Yeah, I really like this notepad. As I said, I've not really used it in anger yet. I love the paper. It feels... There's like a glossy feel to it. It feels very, very nice to use and very nice to write on. Come on, 8 seconds left. And normally I'm doing little bits and pieces whilst this is counting down, just keeping an eye there. And there's 1 minute. So after a minute, still smudging a teeny bit, but not overly much. We'll move the mic down to the page and write the sentence. I'm hoping that came over on the mic. It sounds like it's whispering to me. It's very smooth, quite a nice nib, quite enjoyable to use, and the width of it is just about right for me. I think it's very, very comfortable pen to write with. With the E95S. So we've got here a Pilot. Let me just move this up. Pilot E95S. So this is a medium, and this one is 14 karat gold. The other one was a steel nib. Price-wise, you're looking at 215 Aussie dollars. The ink by Diamine, and it's Red Robin. Drying times, we go immediate, and then 1 minute again. I don't know why my script's gone off the screen again. So I have my script on a second computer, which is off to the side, and I don't know why the screen keeps turning off, so I have to keep turning it back on. We're waiting for that 1 minute to finish, so that's why I'm talking, to try and fill out a bit of time. Let me just go and... So I know why it's gone off now. Pain in the butt. I use something called Continuity Desktop, which is an Apple feature. So it lets you control one Mac from another, and it quite often loses the connection, which is what's happened. And whilst the desktop is connected, the second screen doesn't go off. But because we're disconnected, that's why it's going off. We've got 2 seconds left. And 2 seconds, 1 minute, that one's definitely dry. So yeah, a faster drying combo. Let's move the mic and write the sentence. So that sounds a little bit, again, whispery, but it's got a slightly higher pitch. I don't know if it came over on the camera. I don't know. It didn't come over on the camera. It would have come over on the mic because the cameras don't listen, whereas the mics do. But yeah, it's still nice. I enjoy writing with this. So as I say, that's a quick comparison between the two. Why not drop a comment or some details about it? What do you think about these pens? Now, one thing I'm going to just do, I do this with all my writing samples. Normally, after I've finished filming, is I write the date on it. So it's the 14th of the 7th, 24. Just so I know when I've done them. Older ones don't have that. I think I started doing it about a year ago. So I'm going to move that off the side, give that a time to fully dry. And I'll move these pens out of the way for the minute, just so I don't end up... In fact, I'm not going to put them in here. I'll show you this now. Just go back to the camera. There we go. We're back on the camera. Where's my mouse gone? I'm just trying to fix this display issue, so I'm doing multiple things. So hopefully I find that if I do that, that will fix it. All right. So what I've did at the end is I've put them into here. This is my cleaning pot. I've had a bit of a cull through my inked pens, so I've got all these pens to clean. What, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, about 16 pens in there to clean. I had loads of inked pens, so I was doing my prep work for recording the inked pens for this month, and I thought, look, let's cull out some of the ones which I don't really need. Why I'm doing that is I had about 60 pens inked up. Main reason for that is I've been doing a lot of the top 5 pens on my 5 favourite pens, or 5 pens in my collection videos, so I ended up with loads and loads inked up. I do think it's important when I'm doing videos to show the pens right in, not just show the pen and talk about it. I always enjoy seeing the pens right, so that's why I do that. Just going to try and adjust this camera a bit. There we go. And again, I'm just trying to keep me in the frame rather than the ceiling. All right, let's go through comments. So let me just go up. So Atomic Elf, not too bad on the coast here, but some places in Southern California have been getting the heat. AC set to 72 degrees, which is 22 Celsius. Yeah, that's what I set mine to. About that. Inside the house, that's nice and comfortable, and it doesn't cost a fortune to run. Will Hodge, my provider, Enter G, is saying Monday by 1700 power will be restored. I may be out of propane generator fuel by then. Can't get another load till late in the week. Wow, that would really do my head in being without electric for that length of time. I'll say, thankfully, you've got that generator. Chris, it's not fun being without power. I could probably keep devices charged with solar on the camper, but all the stuff in the fridge and freezer would be lost. And that's really, I know it sounds silly, but it's that stuff in the freezer, especially if you've got a chest freezer. You can have hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, which, you end up having to throw out. Blonde Scales 1, it's hard to be out of power during the summer, I bet. Chris, good to see the notebook. Yeah, that's why when I was planning today, I thought, I'll fetch that one in. Blonde Scales 1, my new pen's arrived. Not sure how I feel about the mystery dip pen yet. What was that mystery dip pen? Can you drop it just so we've got an idea? Chris, that's a wet pen. The ink does tend to pool nicely on that paper, though. Great for showing sheen. Yeah, that Ranga is very wet. Even on my other papers, it comes out really, really wet. Atomic Elf, lovely colour too. Yeah, it's nice. It's not blue, not green, not teal. It's just, to me, it's just like a really nice colour. Chris, yeah, I should have got something like that on my last order I got this week. I've been trying to get all the browns. Yeah, that Red Robin's quite nice. It was an Inkvent ink. As you know, I'm trying to use up my Inkvent inks. That's why that's inked up with that. But yeah, it's nice. It's, again, not an ink I would normally reach for, so it was good. Tom, one of my favourite browns is Ackerman SBRE Brown. Yeah, I keep looking at that. I haven't got round to buying one. It's blue. I was about to say a rude word then that end up getting YouTube telling me off. It's a little bit on the expensive side. Over here, I think it's well over $50 for a bottle. And they are quite hard to get. Blonde Scales 1, I love my Ackerman bottles. Blonde Scales 1 hides my to-be-cleaned pens. I know that they've been sat there since, I think it was Thursday when I was doing it. What I need to do, I say, is give them a good clean, but it's trying to get, with that many pens, I need about at least half an hour. So it's trying to get it when the wife's away from the kitchen for at least half an hour so she doesn't see the mess that I make. Atomic Elf 1, I need to start exploring inks and papers. It's a bit of a rabbit hole once you do. I mean, I actually saw a post yesterday on Faceache where somebody was saying, just trying to refresh the comments while we're talking, and it's right, it's like a trinity. So you've got a trinity of pen, ink and paper, and when all three line up, you get a really, really nice look to things. Why aren't you working? I'm not having a good day today. That should have refreshed. Oh, yep, there we go. I just needed to move the mouse. So yeah, it's like like a trinity. I know a lot of people go on about Tomoe River paper. It's nice. I do like the Oxford Optic paper. I really enjoy that. That's a 90 GSM paper, and I do like the way a lot of my pens and my inks look on that. Blonde Scales 1, the Cross ATX was the mystery dip. The only I do have a Cross pen. It's the Cross Bailey Light. It's all right. Nothing to write home about though. Very similar, I would say, to the Pilot Metropolitan. Blonde Scales 1 also got an Esterbrook 20 pen. Also got an Esterbrook 20 pen zippered case as part of the mystery dip. They always come in really useful. Sorry. I only keep my inked pens in my cases. All the rest are in the plastic tubs that are behind me. But yeah, I've got 3 or 4 Keiko ones that sit down there. At the moment I use one. This is a Keiko one, which has got my pens in. So this side, these are all pens under 100 Aussie dollars. This side are the pens over 100 Aussie dollars. So I try to keep a bit of organisation in it. Let's refresh the comments again. Chris Robinson, face ache, lol. I know, it's one of those things. Unfortunately, you got to use it. I really begrudge using it, but it's a tool, and you know, especially with a lot of my family in the UK, that's how I see what's going on. The only thing I do, certainly with my family and my friends, I don't use Facebook Messenger. I do for some people, but I just think Facebook, they already have too much information, and you know, why should we give them more? Blonde Scales 1, I know nothing about Cross pens. Yeah, as I say, I've only got that one. Atomic Elf, the Cross Bailey Light is a decent pen. I haven't got my regular Cross Bailey to write yet. Isn't English a horrible language? 2 different words, 2 very different meanings, both pronounced the same. So the Cross Bailey Light, it's all right. I say it's very similar to the Metropolitan for me in terms of shape and feel. It's a small nib. It writes okay. I've not had any problems with it writing. It's not one of those pens that jumps out and grabs me. So that's all the comments. Let's jump on back over to to the iPhone. So let's fetch in the paper. I was wondering why there was no paper on the camera when I did that, and that's because it's here. So the pens I've been using this week. Here we've got the first one. This is one I've been using all week for my replies in my daily quotes. This is the Visconti Vango, and it's the blue portrait, or portrait in blue. Very pretty. I like here the way we've got... Oh, God, Bennett, my brain's gone. We've got the stripes, I'm going to say that. Hopefully you can see them catching the light. There is a proper word for it, but my brain's gone dead. So this is a Visconti Vango, and it's a broad nib. Price wise, $362. Not a cheap pen. The ink by Diamine, and it's Eau de Nil. Very nice ink, nice colour to it. It's like a bluish type colour. Ordinary, I believe, is water of the Nile. So I think the aim is to look like river water, and I can imagine where it's coming from. So you got that river flow, and then you got the like sand underneath, and the combination of the colours gives you this beautiful greeny type colour. So the first of the Wheats pens. Let me just move this over so I actually get the full script there. This is by Parker, and it's the Parker Jotter. Very small pen. About 20 Aussie dollars to buy them nowadays. This one is very old. From 1996, so a fairly old pen. Post's okay. Doesn't feel overly heavy posted. Unposted is fine as well. So we've got a Parker Jotter with a double broad Kaweco nib. Price wise, so I said about 20 Aussie dollars. Just going to give it a bit of a shake. Not that it'll make much of a difference. The ink is by Diamine, and it's Blizzard. I didn't agitate this enough, so I don't think we're going to see much in the way of the sheen. Let me just do a little bit of a, see if some, not sheen, shimmer, sorry. There we are. Let's see if that comes through. Next up, we've got the Mahjong C3. Love this transparent pen. I forgot to say, this is a cartridge converter. Same with the Visconti, that's a cartridge converter. Cartridge converter pen, not going to take the body off, you can see the cartridge there. Love the transparent nature. I think this pen is suitable for eyedroppering. I've not tried yet, so I can't 100% say that. Small nib, nice fit in the hand. Section does feel a bit on the narrow side. So we've got a Mahjong C3 with a fine nib. Price wise, here we're looking at 28 Aussie dollars, so a little bit more. Chinese made pen though. The ink is by Diamine, and it's Seize the Night. This is a standard ink, so no shimmer, no sheen. What I noticed with this ink when I've been using it this week, when you're writing it goes down with a nice purple colour, but when it dries it looks like it's changed colour and it looks more like a brown to me. I think it's quite interesting. So that's Diamine Seize the Night in the Mahjong C3. Up next, I'm going to start irritating this. I'm going to start agitating it. Irritation is what I do to the wife. Agitation, well, also the wife, but also what I do when I've got my shimmer inks. So this is the Hondian, the Light of Hope. Beautiful blue colour. Another cartridge converter, I'll show you this one. There we go. Just turning that around. Don't see any of the shimmer laying around, so hopefully we're getting some of that into suspension. Put that body on. The nib, blue nib. Blue going all the way through this, really nice. Let me just keep on mixing it. So we've got here a Hondian, the Light of Hope, part of the Black Forest series. Feels quite stretchy, feels quite stretchy compared to the other two. It's a fine nib. The cost for this, where were we? 32 Aussie dollars. The ink, it's by Diamine, and it's Storm. Again, it's another ink vent ink. Just do a little scribble just in case something does come through. We'll come back and look at them in a second. Bit on the thin side, bit on the light side, but it's a pen I will occasionally pull out and use. So that's the Hondian, the Light of Hope. Let's move this page up ever so slightly. Next up, we've got the Kaweco Sport. For ages I've whinged about this there, but then somebody pointed out the reason why it's like that, when you post it, it's the right way around. I never really thought of that, and I went, dough, slapped my forehead when I realised that. So another cartridge converter. I've actually got a converter. This is nearly out of ink, so this one's going to go into that ink pot in a minute, so that'll be another pen to clean out. Kaweco nib, gold coloured, it's a steel nib. It's a pocket pen. It does feel thin. That's one of the downsides. So we've got here a Kaweco Sport. It's got a broad nib. Price wise, you're looking at 43 Aussie dollars. I think these are awesome value. I think, to be honest, even as a starter pen, I think these are a really good choice. The ink is also Diamine. Also a shimmer ink. It's Merry and Bright. I don't see much shimmer coming through with this one. That's one of the downsides with it. It should have a bit of a silver shimmer. I'll just give a little scribble there just in case. So that's the Kaweco Sport. 2 more pens to go, so we're nearly at the end. Here we've got the Schaefer Prelude, or Prelude. Not sure how it should be pronounced. Another cartridge converter pen. Oh no, it pulls off, it doesn't screw off. Converter, like that Kaweco, you've got to use a Schaefer brand converter in here. With the Kaweco, you've got to use a Kaweco converter. With the Jotter, you've got to use a Parker converter. So it's not a standard converter fitting. Just again, agitating this to get that ink into suspension. Nib on this is a Schaefer nib. I don't know why I always thought it was different. I know I've said this before, but it's been ground to be a medium cursive italic. I love this nib. Problem with it though, it does catch the paper a bit. So we've got here a Schaefer Prelude or Prelude. So it's a medium and it's a cursive italic. Price wise, we're taking a jump in price here up to 94 Aussie dollars. The ink, another shimmering ink, is Diamine. And where are we? I know what it's called, but I can't think of it. Sugar Snap, that's it. Quite like this ink. It's an unusual colour. It's not an ink I again put in a lot of pens, which is a shame because it's like I want to say it's more like an olivey type green to me. And hopefully we might see it. I doubt it. We might see a bit of shimmer in there. So that's the Schaefer Prelude or Prelude. The final pen, Chinhow 992. One of my cheapest pens. Is a nice pen, nice to write with, nice to look at. This is a beautiful green colour. If I take off the body, there we've got the converter. I mean, you could see that already. It's all plastic. So I'm thinking you could potentially eyedropper this. I haven't tried it, so again, I can't confirm that. It's another small nibbed pen. The nib, though, does fit in some of the other pens. So I've actually got a 992 nib in that Marjon C3 that we saw earlier. So they are fairly standardish. Unposted does feel a bit short. I find this is easier to use posted. So we've got a Chinhow. I mean, look at this. It writes beautifully. 992 with a fine nib. Price-wise, it's $2.22. I say dirt cheap. And I did buy when I bought these, I bought a whole bulk of them, and I think I paid $1.71 for them in total. So it's well worth having. I mean, these are good pens. You could throw them away if you wanted to. Give them away. You know, if you want to practice grinding, at $2, you're not going to lose much. The ink is by Diamine, and it's Velvet Emerald. Nice dark green ink here. Quite like this ink. I need to get this ink into some broader nibs to see how it performs. So that's a Chinhow 992. Let's just take a look. So with the Blizzard, not sure if anything comes over on the camera. Don't really see any shimmer there. Storm, again, not really seeing anything. Same with the Sport and Merry and Bright. And that Sugar Snap, maybe getting a little bit, but I'd maybe hopeful, wishful thinking there. So not a lot of that shimmer showing through. Let's go back to the camera. There we go. And scoot on over, Garry. Mouthful of drink. So let's go back to the comments. if I can find that mouse. Ted, I'm curious, Garry. I've been watching your channel for a while. When did you change saying down to the mat to down to the table near the beginnings? Sorry about that. To be honest, it wasn't something I planned for. To be honest, it wasn't really something I even noticed. I think what had happened is a while back I changed to using this wooden block. Let me just move this out of the way. I'll go back to the iPhone. I changed to using this wooden block. This is actually a cutting board that I got from Big W, one of our local big box stores. It was fairly cheap, and as you can see, it's starting to get stained. Before that, if I take this off, because I used this as a pad, I was using this, which was a little bit of corkboard that I got from IKEA. But that was getting really, really stained and really ugly. And that's what I used to refer to as the mat. Whereas because this is more solid, that's really why I refer to that as, I think, the table. So it wasn't certainly something that I thought about doing. It's just something that started happening. And I think sometimes I do mix them up a bit still. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. Mr. Inky Fingers, hello from Michigan. Welcome to you. Padrino, table time, absolutely. Blonde Scales 1. I do like the looks of my new Narvala. Was that the... which one was that? Was that the Skullkill, I think? No, the Key West? Atomic Elf 1, striations. Yep, that's it. I knew there was a word for it. And normally I use it, but it just went out of my head. That's part of the problem with this. Doing a live is you can see when I make mistakes because I can't edit it out. You can also see when I'm wiping my nose. Padrino, welcome to you. Oh, lovely. I have my Vincent's chair inked up at the moment, actually. Enjoy the Vango series very much. Yeah, it's nice as the Vango pen. Let me just fetch it out. Really nice to use. It is quite pretty. Steel nib there. I mean, this is one of the things for $362. And it's a steel nib. That's when you start thinking, is that about right? But yeah, it's really nice. I enjoy writing with this. It's just the right size. The only thing, if I could change anything, is this metal section feels a bit slippy. But other than that, it's beautiful to write with. Atomic Elf 1. I think my favourite part of the jotter is the solid snap when capping. Yeah, let me just fetch this in. Hopefully you can hear that over the mic. Really nice. Very thin pen. My son-in-law bought it for me from a car boot sale over in the UK and then sent it over. It was really, it was cheap when he bought it. Really enjoy it though. It's a nice pen. It's one, again, I don't have it out often enough. Blonde Scales 1. I've got no Parkers yet. So I've got that, and I've got a Parker Sonnet, which I've had, I want to say since 2007. I've also got another Parker. Oh, what's its name? The Sonnet and the... Oh, let me just quickly open up my database. The Parker Sonnet and the... come on, Garry. Use your head. So, Parker begins with a P, doesn't it? Parker Latitude, that's it. The Parker, and I've also got a Parker Frontier. The Latitude, Frontier, and Sonnet, they're all like steel pens or metal coloured pens. One of the things I have noticed with them, though, the Parker nibs don't seem to perform very well. So maybe I need to do a nib transplant of them. Not sure. I'll have to look at that. Atomic Elf, really enjoy the Parker 21 I got recently. And Atomic Elf, thinking about picking up a 51. I've got I think it's the Windsun 601. And I've also got, I think it's a Chinhow 51, which are very, very similar to the Parker 51. I've never really felt the need to go for that Parker. Ted, on average, how often do folks need to tune new Chinhows? I've got to be honest, I've never had to do that. I have done a little bit of work on the nib, not to tune it to write, but more so because I like feedback, and a lot of them feel very smooth to me. So I just add a little bit of feedback to it, but never really needed to floss the tines or anything like that. They've always seemed to work really well right first time. So I think I may have been lucky, but yeah. Blonde Scales 1, I also made my ink problems worse, got a new bottle. Yeah, that's one of the downsides. It's so easy to get new ink. Blonde Scales 1, the glittery Key West Pride pen with converter. Now, I'm going to actually add in here. On last week's live, there was a comment put on during the week because we were talking about the Pride pens. It's one of the few times I deleted the comment. One thing we're not a political channel, and the person who made a comment wasn't being hate. It wasn't hate speech, but it was starting to get towards political stuff. I just didn't think it was right for the channel, so I deleted it. I say I do. Normally, I try to leave all comments on, but if you get something where they're talking more politics and stuff like that, it just gets deleted because that's not what this channel is. This channel is about pens and inks and papers, and how it makes us feel. And think, we'll add in sometimes journaling, but pen-related stuff. And occasionally, I'll do some things like I did a couple of months ago where I did a new wireless keyboard. I'm thinking I'm not sure when. I need to use it a bit more. I'm thinking of doing a review of the Kobo Clara colour that I recently got. Really impressed with that. So it's other things that are of interest to me. I know, a bit boring that. But that's what the channel's about. It's not about politics. So, yeah. So if you're the person that put that on, I'm sorry, but I just don't have that. Blonde Scales 1, not nearly as in your face as Bennu, given that the whole body has glitter. Yeah, the two Key Wests I've got, they're both glittery ones, and yeah, they're certainly not in your face. Ron, some advice for a beginner. Buy a big ticket item, Bennu, Pelican, Mont Blanc, or a big order from AliExpress. That's an interesting one. Personally, I would go down the big order from AliExpress. That's how I started a lot of mine. So when I got back in, which is about 3 and a bit years ago, I bought a Pilot Metropolitan. That was a good first pen to buy. The second pen I bought was a TWSBI Eco. And again, I think that's a good first pen. So I think if you're going for first pens, I would go something like the Metropolitan, the Eco, even something like the Sport. The Sport's a bit different. The Sport does come with a cartridge. That converter you have to pay separate for. But you can also buy cartridges, but they're Kaweco cartridges. I think, and I've done a video which came out not that long ago, looking at my recommended starter pens. So it might be worth, if you haven't seen that, to go back and have a look at that one. Then after I bought that Eco, that's when I did my first order from AliExpress. And I started with cheap pens. And really from there, I've gone up and up. So now my AliExpress orders, I do still buy some of the cheaper pens. But then I also buy, pens which are $30, $40, $50 as well. But yeah, go and look at that starter pen video. I think that's a good one to look at. Silent Ink Chronicles. I got the other Pride pen. It reminds me of the bubblegum Billabongs I ate as a kid. Yeah, I think Miss Marilyn Darling also got that other pen. I like the look of them. I'm not really buying pens. Well, I am buying pens, but I'm being more thoughtful about pens. And I've got a number of Narwhal pens. And I've got 2 Key Wests. I've got 2 pens in that Nautilus shape. So I didn't feel like I need any more. But yeah, I like the look of it. Again, with pens, I don't buy pens for the name. I don't really care what it's called. Again, I had to watch out what I was saying. What I do care is, does the pen look nice? Is the pen attractive to look at? I do think them Pride pens were, but I say I'm not in the market for any more Narwhal pens at the moment. Chris, Garry had more luck with Chinhow nibs than I do. About half of them need work immediately to be wet enough for me. Yeah, sometimes I do is it Doug's 7 things to inky happiness, where you press the nib, a little bit of pressure on the nib and do it 7 times, 7 little lines, which does open the tines a little bit. So sometimes you may need to do that. Blonde Skills 1, I just got the pen because I like the looks of it and like my other narwhals. Yeah, I say I've got plenty. I've got 2 of each of the models, apart from the original. I do need to get some of the originals. That might be the only ones that I'm going to get again. Drinking time. Oh, nearly finished. Chris, that's a hard one wrong. As a beginner, it's probably better to play with lots of cheap pens at first. Find out what you like and make your mistakes with something you won't have to cry about. Absolutely. I say that's what I do in my starter pens videos. All the pens in there, well, all but one are under $50. The one that's over $50 is something like $54, and that's the Eco. But I think it's worth getting the Eco if you're going to be using bottled ink, because the Eco is a piston filler. But yeah, in that video, I do recommend 5 pens, and I talk about each of them, and I do show some writing. Blonde Scales 1, I started with cheaper pens, and I'm slowly moving on to the slightly higher prices. Yep, again, very similar. Ones where, like, say, I got all 4 of the Marjon M800s, which are clones of the Leonardo Momento Zero. Enjoyed them. Yes, they've got fine nibs. There is limitations in that. But I enjoyed them that much that I then could justify spending nearly $400, pardon me, on getting the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande. So one thing I would say, if you're thinking about some of these higher priced, pardon me, if you think about getting some of these higher priced pens, it might be worth looking at the Chinese clones. Yes, they're not going to perform to the same level. They're going to perform well, but chances are not to the same level as the expensive version. But it's a way of experimenting. Do you like the shape? Do you like the size? Does it feel nice in your hand? Before you go and spend all that money. Atomic Elf, I wouldn't order any expensive pen over Ali. I've seen videos regarding all kinds of issues trying to deal with returns or refunds with all sorts of products. Yeah, again, absolutely agree with that. I've never even bothered to try and return anything to AliExpress. Most of the pens, I'd say the most expensive ones are, $30, $40, $50. If they don't work, well, it is a lot of money, but it's not too bad. But yeah, it's certainly worth trying. Again, I've been lucky. I don't really get many issues. Atomic Elf 1, the experiences range from really easy to extremely difficult depending on which the vendor is. Sometimes customer service is worth paying a little more for. Absolutely. And I mean, I've bought some Pen BBS pens from Desk Bandit, which is here in Western Australia, because if there's a problem, I just send it back. But yeah, AliExpress, I've not really had any major issues. I think the one I did have is I ordered one pen and they sent another. The pen that they sent was roughly the same cost. I already had one of them, but it wasn't too bad. Tom, to Chris, I floss some Chinhow nibs with brass sheets sometimes. I think the nibs have been getting better though. I just think I've been really lucky. Ted, I wish I had your luck with Chinhows, but tuning them is good practice. Yeah, I say with the 992s, that's why I've got about 6 or 7 of them. I haven't done it yet, but I do intend to try doing some grinding at some time. Chris, to Tom, yeah, I'd say the nibs are getting better, especially on their newer pens. They've also started making medium nibs for some of them. One of the things I do remember watching a while back was Espriari Brown. He did a video reviewing the Chinhow 9019. That's the big beast. And he showed it writing, and it didn't write. So there is still problems out there. So I just think I've been lucky. Quite often luck is part of it, isn't it? Especially when you are buying from China, it is a bit of a crapshoot. So we're going to go for the videos review. Let me get this going. This time I've Got to get this right. There we go. Just fill the screen. And we go to the screen. Sorry, just finished my drink. So last week's video, on Sunday, I looked at my 3 Visconti pens. I thought it was a way to compare the 3. So we've got like the lower price level with the Breeze. We've got that mid-price level with the Vango. And then we had the pricey level with the Homo sapiens. I've got to be honest, I like all of them. I do think the Breeze is well, I think the Breeze and the Vango are a bit overpriced for what they are. The Homo sapiens, oh, I love that pen. 18 karat gold. Oh, I love that pen. I don't think I'd say it enough. I love that pen. I know it's a lot of money, but wow, I love that pen. Tuesday, I did green pens revisited. So that's where I took a look at 5 more pens that are green or greenish from my collection. Green's my favourite colour, so I've got quite a few green pens. Friday, that was my July ink comparison. So I looked at Herbin Eclat de Saphir, and we looked at that against Diamine Sapphire Blue. Oh, the dog is 1 second, please. I've got glass doors leading into here, and the dog was just sat there, or stood there, looking through the window, asking me to let it in. I'd shut the doors so that it cuts down noise from the rest of the house. I've opened the door, and now she's vanished. So just typical that. Anyway, yeah, Herbin Eclat de Saphir and Diamine Sapphire Blue. I don't really like that many blue inks. I find like normal blue inks really boring, but I like the ones which are slightly different, and yeah, these with that sapphire in it look really nice. Then Saturday's video, that was tricky little questions. So that was 10 true or false questions, this time themed around numbers. I really enjoyed doing that one, and I learned a fair bit. One of the ones I learned about were the Queens of England, and that surprised me, that one. Next week's videos. So on Sunday, so that's today, I've got a fountain pen showdown, the Conklin All-American. That's the Courage version in white. And that's going up against the Wingsung 630. Very similar shaped pens, both largish pens, so I thought it would be a good one to compare them against each other. Tuesday, I'm going to be doing an exploration of fountain pen filling systems. I've limited it to ones that I have. So what we're taking a look at are fountain pen systems that I have. There are loads of other ones, but I just thought, especially someone who's beginning, it might be a good video for them so they can understand the differences. Then Friday, that will be my July halftime report. I haven't filmed that yet. That'll be getting filmed tomorrow. And then the last page, my book of the week is The Omen Machine by Terry Goodkind. So this is the first of a series. I think it's 3 books in total. Very much using the same characters from all his other all the previous books. My voice is starting to go, so that's why I'm drinking a bit more. I'm 95% of the way through. I've got 5 chapters left to go, so that'll be getting finished tonight. And then I'm going to be moving back to Mr. Terry Pratchett, and it will be Masquerade. Really enjoy my Terry Pratchett books. So yeah, I've been enjoying The Omen Machine. One of the themes that have come from it that I've noticed is there's been a lot of the idea of people whispering and how rumours can spread, and how, you know, people manipulate other people without them realising, just by the way they say something, or, you know, or the phrase they use, or, you know, the way that they say it. And it's quite interesting, I think. We'll go back to the camera. We just close down that window, then I can see what I've got on my screen. So here we go, back to the comments. Padrino, the Homo sapiens is my favourite pen body model. It's amazing to fit in my hand, and I love them. Yeah, I mean, I've got the Dark Age model. I love it. You may have noticed that. the lava, so it's made with lava from Mount Etna that's mixed with resin, and it's got is it hygroscopic, so it repels water. I'm not going to try pouring water over it, but more so when we get into the summer and I sweat a lot. Hopefully it'll help with repelling the sweat off my fingers. Will, I started with Schaefer school pens, then ventured into Noodler's Ahab, a real tinkerer's pen. Sorry, 1 second. My nose is running terrible today. A real tinkerer's pen. I find people either love or hate them. They do digest shimmer ink well, I think, due to the ebonite feed. Yeah, I quite like my that Schaefer Prelude. It's a shame the ink. I think it's down to the ink more than the pen. But yeah, quite interesting. Talking about Noodler's Ahabs, Miss Marilyn Darling, welcome to you, sir. Miss Marilyn Darling, hi Gary, hi everyone. And we got Blonde Skills 1, Chris and Will saying hi back. So I know that Miss Marilyn Darling often has a lot of Noodlers, especially with the, is it the with Fletch nibs? I've lost my mouse, so I can't click. Oh, there it is. I don't know. Miss Marilyn Darling, how's the weather? A little bit warmer this week, so it was. Oh, it's up to 13 degrees now, which will be. Fetch up Mr. Google. Let's have a look. 13. 1 and 3. So that's 55 Fahrenheit. So yeah, not too bad today. We were meant to be having rain, but at the moment we've had none come down. So we might be lucky, it might not come in. We're meant to be having rain today, then a couple of days fine, then rain for about 4 days on the trot. Miss Marilyn Darling, Blonde Skills, Chris and Will, the love heart picture. Ricardo, hello MMD. Miss Marilyn Darling, I love the Noodler's Conrad with the Fountain Pen Revolution Ultra Flex nib. I knew it was something. I've switched over to my glass, so this is the Flash. I watched the Flash movie the other week. It wasn't too bad. People were, everywhere I was reading, they were all panning it. I quite enjoyed it. What did I watch the other day? So I was a bit disappointed with Morbius. I watched the other day on Netflix. A bit disappointed with that. I was hoping for a bit more action, but can't get everything that you want. Tom, hello MMD. Miss Marilyn Darling, 55. Let's go for a refresh. Oh yeah, she'd already done that calculation. She's got a cheat sheet. 9 divided by 5 Celsius plus 32. Yeah. I just use Google. It saves me having to think about maths. Blonde Scales 1. I don't even know where my Noodler's pen is. It came with a bottle of ink. Yeah, I've got that. The Noodler's Charlie. Nice pen. Only used it the once, but it's fairly nice. Well, again, that came free with my bottle of Heart of Darkness. So let's refresh these comments one more time. Have we got any more time? So there's no additional comments, so we'll start the wrap up. I will come back to the comments again very briefly. So thank you all for your time today. So I'll give you the usual YouTuber spiel. Please hit that thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. Don't forget, there is a membership available. The membership there, it helps to support me getting other pens, so I can look at some of the more expensive pens than I could normally afford, and also some pens that I wouldn't normally buy. So that's what all the channel money goes towards, is buying stuff for this channel. I do appreciate any support that people give me. I also hate doing salesy type stuff. You may have noticed that. But I've been told I have to do that. Miss Marilyn Darling, the Charlie isn't the best. Blonde Scales 1, got mine with Blue Ghost. Miss Marilyn Darling, but it will do in a pinch. Thumbs up. Blonde Scales 1, have a great week all. Any more comments? So no more comments, so I'll end the stream there. So thank you all for your time. I love doing these. It's a highlight of my week is doing these. I know it's really awesome to chat to everybody. I will leave the chat open whilst the outro plays. So thank you all, and I'll talk to you again soon.